Right now, I would be sick to my stomach if I were a hardcore Edmonton Oilers fan. To be honest, even as someone who just likes Edmonton, I don't feel great right now. I probably watched more Oilers games than any other team this year just because they were so exciting. They were never out of it. But despite having arguably the two best players in the world right now, the Edmonton Oilers just got handily bounced by the Vegas Goldenknights in the second round of the 2023 NHL playoffs. Look at playoff points leaders right now. Connor McDavid, number 1. Goal leaders, Leon Draisaitl has 5 more than the second highest player, also McDavid. Evan Bouchard killing it with most points for a defenseman, but that's not how you win a playoff series. Let's talk Game 6, which started quickly. Off the faceoff, the puck goes to Edmonton's end. Skinner's a bit indecisive with the puck. There's an Edmonton turnover right to a Vegas player, 1-0 before the crowd is even fully seated. However, not to worry, Edmonton would tie it up less than a minute later, off a quick McDavid shot far side. Then just 2 minutes later, Warren Foegele would get his second of the playoffs as Edmonton would get their first lead of Game 6. That'd be all for the first. The second was the Jonathan Marchessault show. That's kind of hard to say, as he would score a hat trick, and honestly, the crowd at Rogers Place was doing their team no favors. You could almost feel the anxiety in the air, and the second the game was tied up, the crowd really lost it. When Vegas went up by 1, it felt like the Edmonton crowd was taken out for pretty much the entire game. Go to the third, Edmonton actually pushed really hard. They'd end the game with 40 shots, and they were pouring it on. They ran into a really hot goaltender in Adin Hill, and that would make all the difference as Vegas would take the series, winning 4-2. One controversial moment was an apparent high sticking against Ekholm. He was bleeding, so you'd think this should be a double minor. However, this was actually the correct call. The rules specifically say a player is permitted accidental contact on an opponent if the act is committed as a normal wind-up or follow-through of a shooting motion. It's true that the puck was poked away here, but this was still a shooting motion. Shitty situation. It sucks for someone like me who wanted Edmonton to come back, but no penalty. There's a lot to say about this Edmonton team, and the Vegas one as well. They've got more games, so I'm sure we'll get to them, but I mean, making a cup final and 2 conference finals in 3 years of play is spectacular, especially with how aggressively they've retooled the team several times. And I mean, that Eichel line, especially last night, looked really great. I'm happy to see him thrive. But anyway, Stuart Skinner, man, he was not the guy for Edmonton. He's only 24 years old. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure. He just wasn't good. He wasn't good in this game. Over the entire playoffs, he had a GAA of 3.68, a save percentage of 883. I was honestly shocked that Campbell didn't start the game after that big comeback victory that Edmonton won, and I really think it was a mistake not to play him in this Game 6. Or not to start him, rather, because Campbell did get game time in both Game 5 and Game 6, and he wasn't scored on in either. I really wonder whether Edmonton could have had a Bobrovsky situation where a goalie who kind of struggled in the regular season really turned it on for the playoffs. This year, we also saw less Edmonton depth scoring than last year. I saw this really nice stat on the Oilers subreddit. Last year, Kane, Hyman, and Nuge had a combined 30 goals in 16 playoff games. This year, they were at 7 in 12. That's a major loss of scoring, and I was expecting to see, or at least hoping, for Nuge to turn it up like he did in the regular season. I honestly felt like this is the best Edmonton Oilers team that I've ever personally seen. I loved Ekholm. I hope Skinner can get it together as he did in the regular season. And I've got to say, Draisaitl's post-game interview I thought was excellent. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He says it felt like a wasted year. And yeah, absolutely. When you've got perhaps the 2 best players in the NHL, and you've got a team this good, anything short of the ultimate victory is a wasted season. It's very rare that a team has not just one player of McDavid's caliber, but a McDavid and a Draisaitl. That's why Oilers fans, you gotta be feeling sick right now. Thankfully, it doesn't feel like Edmonton's window is closed yet, but aside from contract situations, we're entering McDavid's peak. Let's see what they can do next year.